Back. Chair recognizes Ms. Brown from Ohio for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mayor Bowser, and all our witnesses for appearing today. And I apologize, Mayor Bowser, that you have to sit through one more attempt by my colleagues on the other side of the aisle to undermine the democratic rights of the District of Columbia and its citizens. As I said in our last hearing on DC congressional interference, in DC's local affairs is not an obligation or a legal requirement. It is a choice by the majority, and it remains a bad one. Instead of working towards solutions on behalf of the American people, like combating poverty, addressing out-of-control gun violence, and lowering the cost of health care, Republicans are spending our precious time critiquing every local decision of the D.C. government, which happens to represent a majority Black and brown city. So, Mayor Bowser, what are the ramifications for American democracy if statehood for D.C. is not implemented?
Well, I think we continue, quite frankly, to look like hypocrites around the world. We are the only, free nation that doesn't allow the citizens of its capital to be represented in its capital. I think what we continue to see happen is not all of the viewpoints of American citizens fully represented in this body. And I think, sadly, we also run the risk of parts of the federal apparatus really imposing in negative ways on free, tax-paying Americans in Washington, D.C.
Thank you. And Mayor Bowser, why does congressional review of local D.C. policies not make sense in your view?
Well, it doesn't make sense because I'm kind of looking around the room, and I count two people who were elected to represent us, me and Congresswoman Norton. So we are the ones who are out on blocks and community meetings and church basements talking to people about what they want to see happen in their city. And the last time I checked, most people here think that government closest to the people is the best government for the people. And so that's why it doesn't make sense for anybody from around the country to purport to care more about our issues than we do.
Well, thank you. And last, if you could answer briefly, Mayor Bowser, how is D.C. held back by its inability to self-govern like any other state?
Well, one thing, and the chairman mentioned, and I know he mentioned in his conversation with the council members concerned about district finances, and I've had the privilege of presiding over the district achieving a AAA bond rating. And when I have those meetings with rating agencies, they see a risk to the district, not of my leadership or my policies or even those of the DC Council. What they see as a risk is what the Congress might on a whim do to us that would affect our finances.
Well, thank you for that, and you should be applauded for the work that you have done. This country has never fully lived up to its founding principles of democracy, freedom, and equality for all. Today, in so many ways, represents that, and we are seeing yet another instance of that failure. DC residents are no different than residents of any other place in this country. They pay taxes, they go to school, and they work. And yet, unlike those living outside the district lines, this pocket of over 700,000 people, a plurality of whom are Black, are not given full democratic rights under the law. They do not have one person, one vote. They do not have a full say in their own future or the choices and policy of their government. In 2023, that is not just a shame, it is a total disgrace. In 2023, it is not just a shame, it is a total disgrace. The United States is the only democracy as stated by Mayor Bowser, that denies the residents of its capital voting representation in the national legislature. We in Congress have the obligation to finally extend statehood to the residents of DC, not the obligation to question every decision of the local DC government. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.